Cool. Alex, pleasing personality is the topic that I want to discuss today. And my question to you is, what is the importance of a pleasing personality? And do you feel that cultivating a pleasing personality is something that is important in life?
I think I think it is I look at it like this, right? Having a pleasing personality is the way that you have uh, an enjoyable experience of life, in my opinion. Because you when you have a pleasing personality, it's not just how you interact with other people, it's how you interact with yourself. So,
100%.
the way I would describe it is it's quite funny. I watched this video on charisma and how to be funny. And one of the tips that the guy gave was make yourself laugh. And then the more you can make yourself laugh, the better your ability to make other people laugh. And often I'll be finding myself just living my life doing things in isolation and something will happen and I just start hosing myself. And it's amazing how that ability to make myself laugh extended to strangers and other people, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, it is important to have a pleasing personality because you just go through life enjoying things a lot more. So that's the first thing, which is a very self-focused reason, right? The second thing is you also make the lives of the people around you so much better because
Yeah.
it changes an experience and it makes it 10 times better. And the way I would say that is like when you have a pleasing personality, you give positive energy. So we've all known people where when you hang out with them, you walk away feeling like you just got refreshed
Yeah.
versus the other way, which is you spend time with them and 10 minutes feels like an hour and you're exhausted and now you have to recharge your batteries, right? So that's the second thing about a pleasing personality. And then there's the last thing. And I know I've kind of answered this in a little bit of a jumbled way, but I think it's because I'm highly caffeinated. The last thing is, and this is a harsh truth, in the working world, you are going to go so much further when you have a pleasing personality. And it's not fair, but it's true. When you're likable, opportunities just go your way. The way people judge you is different. The way your colleagues view you is different. You have so much more room to make mistakes when you have a pleasing personality. Even job interviews, when you have a pleasing personality, your likelihood of getting hired is so much higher. Even if you're not so technical, your experience isn't that great. It is, it's so difficult to quantify how valuable it is to have a pleasing personality. So
Hmm.
that's my answer to that question. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I must say, so well answered, right? And I think, before I go on my side, obviously to define what a personality is, right? What pleasing personality is,
Mm,
I think it's important to understand that, like, your personality determines how attractive you are and whether people want to engage with you or not. I think that's the first starting point. The second thing is that it distinguishes you, right? So it either allows you to fit in or stand out. And I think fitting in needs to be done in a good way.
mm,
Standing out also needs to be done in a good way, right?
absolutely.
You can fit in a bad way very easily, and you can
Sure.
also stand out in a bad way very easily. So that
Sure.
distinguished element of it becomes your trademark.
Mm,
So in actual sense, your personality is your trademark.
yeah.
And I think the importance of a good personality and understanding your personality by starting off with focusing on yourself is that you create the ability to see yourself as others see you.
Interesting. So
And I
self-aware.
think that's exactly, and I think that's very, very important. And I like how you mentioned earlier on when you were speaking about humor, right? It's like if you want to be funny, you know, um, are you able to laugh at your own jokes? Are you able to laugh at
Yeah,
yourself?
absolutely.
That's the first box to tick. If you tick that box, then the chances of you being funny increase tenfold.
Yeah.
And an example I'd like to use here is comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at most comedians, if you watch stand-up comedy, right, generally, most of the time before the joke is finished, they are laughing at their own joke, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not even laughing at joke itself, but you're laughing at how
Man,
entertaining the comedian is
yeah,
by his own joke,
absolutely.
and I think
I have
that's
friends like that, right? Like their
it's
laugh is funnier than anything that they ever say.
exactly, and I think that's tied to the personality element of it. They've developed it so much internally that it
Absolutely.
becomes their trademark, and a part of their trademark becomes humor,
This is
you know,
true.
and that's why they say. I mean, I think Elon Musk posted it on Twitter the other day. He was like, "Humor is one of the great joys of life."
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, like, and you know what? It's like imagine going through tough times, right? When someone can give you a little reprieve from the pain by just making a joke, it makes everything so much better, you know?
Yeah,
I remember when I was in work, in the working environment, in corporate, and I used to go to these meetings, and it was these super like everyone's taking it so seriously, meetings, you know, friggin' CFO, CEO, all of this jazz. And I used to love it because it was so easy to make people laugh in those environments because they were so tense and they didn't expect it. No one ever saw it coming. So all you had to do was just say a stupid joke and everyone would
yeah,
just, oh, they just hose themselves. And then they
yeah,
also want you to be there now because it's like,
yeah.
oh, I wouldn't have had the courage to make that joke. Thank goodness this OXO who's willing to do it, you know?
100%, 100%, 100%. I think, that's a personality trait, right? It's like
Mm,
you find that there's some people who are just good icebreakers, right?
right.
Some people do it in awkward ways. So like I can speak for myself. I sometimes sit in meetings and, before the meeting starts, firstly, I'm smiling a lot.
Yeah,
And then secondly, I'm not afraid to mention that I'm a bit nervous, you know?
absolutely.
And then the other person laughs or the forum laughs.
Yeah.
And then we get started, right? And I think a lot of the time, getting started allows me to start on a lower base,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
a,
nervousness disappears, so you end up over delivering, right? So
absolutely.
I think like that that ability to just understand your environment and cultivate your personality in such a way that you connect with others
Yeah.
is extremely important, right? So yeah, leading me on to my next question, right? You spoke about a positive mental attitude, you know,
Hmm.
and obviously, as you would know, your personality consists of over 30 different traits, which are all moldable,
Sure.
right? And your personality evolves over time depending on how you engage with yourself and depending on how you engage with others. So speaking on a positive mental attitude, what are some of the things that you do to maintain a positive mental attitude in your day to day?
Mm. Look, it's something that you obviously have to work on. Like you say, maintain on a day-to-day basis, right? Like
Yeah.
I once I heard a guy say, it was Naval Ravikant, who's someone that I admire deeply. But he said happiness is a skill. He says happiness the skill, happiness the choice. It's a choice to be happy, right? It's
Yeah.
not everyone that you know that's happy is not happy by default. I just want to say that. I want to put that out there. They're happy because they're doing things that you're probably not doing if you're not happy. And I'm not saying everyone has to do the same things to be happy, but you have to do some things and you got to figure it out for yourself. And it can be as simple as just listening to music in the morning, watching funny videos at night, whatever you want to call it. It's your recipe, you know. For me personally, something that helps me a lot is I'm a hopeful person. I'm optimistic. I believe tomorrow can be better than today. Um, and that excites me. Like improving excites me. You know, you're a self-improver. You're a guy who chases wisdom. You've seen how you can make your life better through correct decision making. And once you
Yeah.
figure that out, it's kind of exciting. It's like a video game. You know, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I can level up my character. I
100%.
can be more charismatic. I can be funnier. I can be more intelligent. So,
100%.
you know, also again, like I've lived as a cynic and I've lived as an optimist. I will choose the optimist life every time, even if I'm wrong 90% of the time, just because your experience of life is dramatically better.
Mm.
Again, that's a
Mm.
choice. So like you can be right or you can be happy. And being happy is better than being right.
100%. Wow.
You can be
So what
right.
I get from that,
Sorry.
so what I so what I get from that is that the byproduct of optimism is joy, happiness,
And exciting.
positive mental attitude, excitement,
Yes.
and the enthusiasm to make correct decisions.
Right. But again, so
Ah,
the key principle here is it's a choice. It's a choice. And I
yeah,
want to emphasize that because a lot of the times people will look at a happy person and be like, the only reason they're happy is because they're lucky, or they're just born that way, or they don't have any problems in their life, or insert reason here. Excuses. It's like, no, a happy person doesn't have a perfect life. It's about where they focus. It's their choice.
yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, what about you? What's your thoughts?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I must say, quite similar to you, right? I think happiness is a byproduct of what you do, right? And like, just like you, I have daily rituals that I
Mm,
do on a day-to-day basis to maintain a positive mental attitude, right? I have rituals that I do on a day-to-day basis when I'm in certain situations like conflict or
yeah,
disagreements, right? That maintain a positive attitude. And I
absolutely.
mean, in this example, I'd like to use conflict, right? If I'm in a situation where I'm having to have a tough discussion with someone that may result in conflict, I always step out of the picture. I look at myself having the conversation with the person outside of my mind, and I focus particularly on how I'm reacting.
Mm,
I don't get it right every time.
of
I have
course.
made a couple of mistakes, along the way, particularly even in the last couple of weeks and months, right? And the more mistakes I make, the better I get at like zooming out as I'm in these situations, and I'm improving, I'm getting better. So I think it sits in your rituals, in your daily rituals, with regards to how you engage with others and yourself.
Yeah,
Because, like I said, the better you get at doing that, the more you experience the byproduct of a positive mental attitude.
well
So,
said.
like you said, it's a choice. It's
Yeah,
up to you. And above all, I think people can tune into that, right? Like telepathy, as much as everyone may deny it, it's a real thing.
yeah,
You can sit next to somebody, and if you
so,
spend enough time with them without even communicating directly with them,
yeah,
you can feel their mental attitude,
yeah,
whether it's positive or negative,
yeah,
through the
absolutely.
force of telepathy. So yeah, leading me on to my third question, which is telepathy. Do you believe in telepathy? Do you believe that humans can tune into each other's energies without directly engaging or expressing that specific type of energy?
Whatever you want to call it, you have a sensitivity towards another person's energy. I call it your intuition, your instincts.
Yeah,
People can
yeah,
call it whatever they want. Don't
yeah,
like labels are stupid. But if you want to tell me that you've never sat next to somebody and gotten a vibe, you're gonna tell me bullshit. Come on. Like
yeah,
if someone is happy, you can feel it. Sometimes you
100%.
you're in a room and somebody just walks in and they have this presence about them and you're drawn to it. And
Yeah,
I've did it where I've been at a park or something and dogs just come up to me because I'm in a good mood. But other
yeah,
times I've been anxious and they avoid me like I'm the plague. So yes, I do believe in it. And I think most people would agree when you kind of spell it out for them and you say, no, I'm not talking about bending spoons with my brain. I'm talking about literal connection, like the
yeah,
electricity between people. It's for sure,
100%,
for sure.
100%. And I mean, the reason I asked that, right, because that's also a very important part of your personality, right? The state at which you were in, because that is also determined by you. I think, yes, in life we go through a lot of things, right? But oftentimes you find that the most successful people and the ones who spread the most joy are also the ones who go through the most,
Mm,
right? And that's all because of how they choose to interact with themselves and what happens around them.
mm,
And I think in life, it's very easy to be in a state of you're experiencing. So if your life is going bad, it's very easy to a negative state because life is bad.
Mm.
And because of that, you radiate a negative aura or down aura or dark aura purely because you're embracing it
Yeah,
without making the decision as to when you feel it and then snap out of it.
absolutely.
So I think that personality traits to not completely block it out because that's dangerous. If you're going through something,
Feel,
embrace it, feel it,
yeah,
process it. But there needs to come a point where you make the decision to switch and to consciously increase the vibration of which you're existing in.
yeah,
Because if you're not aware of that, as you move around in the world and as you engage with others, people through telepathy feel the vibe.
absolutely.
And I think that sometimes repels opportunities away from you. It repels people away from you, right? Because they don't want that coming into their space.
Of course. And you know, the big thing is it's also about how you are perceiving your life. Like when you are looking at things from a good frame, your life is just so much better. You are happy. And isn't that what it's about? Like that's what it's all about. Like everything that
Yeah,
we pursue in life, we do it because we think that it's going to make us enjoy our lives more. You want to live an enjoyable
yeah,
life. So like, you know, something that's a practical, useful tool is reframing, constantly reframing. And that's the difference between a happy and a sad person, right? It's how you frame things.
yeah,
When you just look for the angle, it's like, what's my excuse to be happier? Like, what like stupid reason can I find to be
yeah,
happier?
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, oh, I'm in line. Okay, being in a line sucks, but isn't there something that's funny about this? Like,
yeah,
the guy next to me is throwing a tantrum because he thinks his time is so important. That's kind of funny,
mm,
you know?
yeah,
And it,
100%.
and such a stupid small thing. Or like you were saying before this about, maybe it was on the call, I can't remember, sorry. But like you were talking about using humor to break the tension in a meeting. Like
Yeah,
there are people who be like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. This is a disaster. I'm gonna fuck it all up. Oh geez. And they spiral. Or you can be like,
yeah,
I'm nervous about this meeting. Everyone else is also nervous. Isn't that kind of funny? Like we're all
yeah,
adults and we're scared of each other. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
hilarious. Like no one's
yeah,
gonna hit
100%.
you. The worst thing that can happen is that you say something stupid and people are like, whoa, I don't know if I agree with that. And should that
Yeah,
mean to be anxious about? Absolutely not.
yeah, 100%. 100%. And
Reframe.
also another thing that I think based on what you said, that's very important to remember is that you're not as important as you think you are.
Absolutely. No one cares.
You know? Yeah, I think if you can really understand that you're not as important as you think you are, you're more likely to get through life a lot more joyfully and you're more likely to be happy with making mistakes,
Yeah.
right? If you think about it, if you mess up in the workplace, if you mess up in the social space, I mean, within a couple of weeks, people tend to forget, all
Yeah.
right? Not to bring a very sad topic into it, but like I'll use death as an example. A world icon dies today, the whole world mourns at the same time. Within 2 months,
Moved on. Yeah, absolutely.
within 2 months, all
Ab-
right? So your mistake isn't as big as you think it is if you also think of yourself as just an ordinary person who is supposed to make mistakes. And I think when you have that mindset, you're able to go through life a lot more joyfully and you're able to have this personality that understands that next time I will do better.
Yes.
And I'm not going to let this follow me. I'm not going to let this haunt me. And in doing so, I know that my environment in the next session might remember it,
Yeah.
but at least the base is here. And this time I'm going to take the base.
Yeah. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's a great point, T. And I think it's a great, you know, if we were saying, how do you make it a pleasing personality? One of the big things is don't take things so seriously. Don't take yourself so seriously. Learn to laugh at yourself. That's a great trait.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
can laugh at yourself, you immediately make everybody else more comfortable. And it also makes people think, okay, this oak's humble. He's not so arrogant, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
reframing, great tool. Use it as a tool to be more optimistic, more positive, and also then don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take other people so seriously. Like again, another thing is I would say choose the best positive interpretation that you can. Give people the benefit of the doubt. It's going to make you a far more pleasant person. Like,
Mm,
people, when
mm,
you
mm.
speak to them, everything you say, they take it so bad, like the worst interpretation they could possibly take, versus somebody who always gives you the benefit of the doubt. Game
Yeah,
changer. And I mean, that's an
yeah,
extension of reframing, I guess, but just a great, like, contextual implementation of that principle, I would say.
for sure, for sure. And spot on, right? Interpretation and having that frame of how you view things.
Mm,
That's a personality trait linked to your mental attitude, right? And I mean, I was very listening to a very interesting piece by Napoleon Hill on personality this morning, and he speaks about the flexibility in your mental attitude,
mm,
what allows for you to respond in such a way that you can maintain
yeah,
a positive and a flexible mental attitude. So I
100%.
think it's that flexibility, right, that you're speaking about, like the frame,
Yeah,
right? And the nice thing about human beings is that like you're continuously painting your canvas. It's not like you were given the Mona Lisa and the Mona Lisa is the Mona Lisa,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
You can continue to add and improve it and make it more attractive based on what you're going through, right?
yes,
If the light is off, you can use a neon light color to make it bright
yeah,
and see the painting, right?
yeah,
And I think that's the big blessing in having a cultivating in having the ability to cultivate your personality
right.
because it improves your life through the way that you improve your canvas.
Absolutely, dude. I love what you're saying, yeah, because especially, look, you are a guy with a very pleasing personality, and I've observed you and how you interact with the world, and it's very interesting because if I could give my observation, my 2 cents, you always have a good sense of humor with different people that you hang out with, which is very disarming in the sense that, like, you'll meet somebody and immediately, because you have a good sense of humor and you're complimentary, it makes them feel comfortable, which is a great thing for people to learn. That's charisma, right? It's like you're immediately more likable because you have a good sense of humor. You're quick to compliment. You're quick to be not self-degrading, but self-depreciating, meaning you don't take yourself too seriously, which is a great trait to have. Again, that humility that we highlighted earlier. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, not to use you as a case study for our listeners, but I think there's worse people in the world to use. Um, if you're looking to build your own charisma, these are great little steps to take. You know, take the first step, be the leader in the interaction, be willing to make the first move, be quick to compliment but sincere. Don't just
yeah,
don't just throw shit out there to blow steam up someone's ass. Have a
yeah,
good sense of humor and be self-depreciating.
yeah. Wow, so well said. And I mean, these are things that I don't notice about myself, right? So thanks for highlighting that because I'm able to make notes on how others see myself, right? And I think just to add on to that, it's very nice to adopt, these type of principles that you see in others and apply them to yourself, your true self, right? Because I
Absolutely.
think you do it better when you do it from a sense of inner self,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
And like I'll give you a very good example. Like you were speaking about disarming. I think disarming is such a good thing to be aware of when you're engaging with people because it allows for you to connect, right?
Yep.
And like with you, you're very good at disarming in the sense that you arrive on time before meetings.
Thanks.
You greet people by their first name and you say people's names correctly. And then when you're having a meeting, your phone is completely off. It's in your pocket, it's on silent. You don't even check a message or anything like that, right? That's disarming. And that creates charisma and it creates an environment where the person wants to fully give themselves to you in that point in time. So like, and that's linked to your true self, right? You do it in your own unique way. So I think these are the type of things that like people need to look at in the environments to improve themselves and then pick the ones that suit your inner self. And based on that, you will then do it in a best way that is unique
Mm-hmm.
and sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of things can be done, for the greater good of yourself,
Yeah.
but easily spotted as pretentious.
Absolutely.
And I think when it's spotted as pretentious, then you lose the connection with the person you're dealing with. And and that's very split second, you know that this is not going to go anywhere. The person is already tuned out, and yeah, you basically put yourself on the back foot. So
That speaks
I
to
really like that you mentioned
telepathy,
that.
right? Remember you were
Yeah,
talking about telepathy. When you're not
yeah,
when you're being calculated and insincere, people will pick it up through telepathy.
yeah,
Intuition,
yeah,
I think. So, it's
100%.
interesting. While you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, what would be a great way to explain to people how to do this? And the way I would describe it is ask yourself, how would you want to be treated? What would make you like a person if they were treating you in a certain way and then treat other people like that? That is an extension of your individual pleasing personality.
Wow.
Think
Yeah,
about it.
so
Like
well
that is
said.
very sincere and authentic. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're just like, this is how I would want to be treated. So I'm going to treat you like that. And together
100%.
we can figure out how to treat each other based off of this mutual, sincere personality types, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I think that's so well said, right? Because you always treat people in such a way that you would want to be treated.
Yeah,
I think you also open the door for them to inform you when they don't like something,
absolutely.
you know? And like with me, I always try my best. I'm still learning, I'm not perfect, right? But like I always try to present myself in such a way that if how I'm treating you is not how you like, because in my head, I believe that how I'm treating you is how I would want to be treated. But that's not always
How you want to be treated.
consistent across exactly. And that's not always consistent across other people, right? So like I'll use a good example. I'm confrontational by nature.
Sure.
So whether
You're
good or
assertive.
bad, whether time of day, if it's time to have a confrontational conversation, I can have it with a smile,
Mm,
right? I can have it confidently.
sure.
Some people don't associate that as a good way to approach it. Some people approach it as actually condescending,
Sure.
because when I'm doing it, I'm not emotional about it. So I always try to present myself in such a way that I am a person that someone can say, actually, I don't appreciate your approach.
Sure.
These are my thoughts, XYZ, because then at least I can apologize in the moment,
Yes.
right? And I can come to a common agreement and understanding. And by the time that meeting is over, or sometimes not even when it's over, but within a short time frame, clarity is brought to light.
Yeah.
And therefore, the relationship stays at a high elevated level before it can even go down or get disrupted. So yeah, I think those elements are something to be very common. So those elements are something to be very aware of as
Nice.
you engage and develop your personality, because you always need to make sure that you're connecting with people and that your personality isn't repelling and creating, future circumstances that make it harder for you to connect with people.
Absolutely. And I think a great thing to keep in mind as well is you don't need to be liked by everybody.
Yeah,
Don't look at it that way. It's
yeah,
not every interaction is a tryout, you know? Because
100%.
a lot of people treat it that way. It's like a social tryout of like, let me reverse engineer what I think this person likes and then
Yeah,
inject that. And it's like, no, you can always treat everybody with basic decency and respect, but even that's not going to be enough for some
yeah,
people. That's
yeah,
okay. Like, it's fine.
100%,
The world's a big place.
100%.
There's lots of us. Like, we don't all have to be friends. So just focus on, again, like, I, think of it like this. It's like you are, wherever you go on this earth, you are always taking yourself with you,
Yeah,
right? You cannot escape yourself.
yeah,
So figure out a way to like yourself and enjoy your company, because that's the only thing that's a constant. Everyone around
yeah,
you is going to leave, but you are going to stay. So
yeah,
that's where that humor comes in of like, figure it out. Like, what do you need to
yeah,
do to find a
yeah,
reason to be happy today? Like, whatever it is. And no one else has any right to dictate to you how that needs to be done,
100%.
Literally,
And
like
I like,
last night, I'm sorry, but one of my favorite things is sending funny memes on Instagram to my friends, and they do the same
yeah,
thing. And I have no shame of saying I was posing myself to the point of tears at something that I saw last night that I think if 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 any chick saw me laughing at this, they'd think, oh, you're a 9-year-old boy. But it
yeah,
was hilarious. And so that I will keep on doing that shit because it makes me happy, you know?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I like how you mentioned the prior topic about like not everyone is gonna like you, right? And I
Absolutely.
think sometimes, especially when you get a lot of wisdom and you have cultivated a pleasing personality, understand that not everyone's gonna like you. To be the one who has disagreed in the most respectable way is the best thing you can do for yourself,
Mm,
right? Especially when you understand that not everyone will like you. Because when someone else doesn't like you for not agreeing, you still feel
okay.
good.
You can
You
live with
don't have any negative energy. You don't have anything towards or against that person. And I think
it.
what a lot of people struggle with is that when there's a disagreement, how they feel about the person
Yeah.
is correlated to the disagreement. And I think when you have that philosophy of not everyone is going to like you, and you are able to disagree in such a way, you still respect the person. You're able to move on from arguments and
Mm,
conflict
mm,
in such a way that you know it was the conflict, it was not the person. And therefore, you move through the world lighter. And like you said, you
mm.
can't escape yourself.
No,
You
that,
can't escape yourself. And once again, that's a personality trait that
yeah.
one needs to develop over time.
You think about what a real tragedy is. It's like imagine being a person that everybody likes, but you don't like yourself. That is ultimate failure, right?
Yeah.
Like that is a
Yeah.
tragedy.
100%.
You can take
100%.
the whole world not liking you, but if you like yourself, you'll be happier than the other way around.
100%.
So
100%.
yeah.
And like you said there, right? Liking yourself is not about hating others.
Mm-mm.
Liking yourself is detaching people's behaviors from who they are.
Yeah.
You don't like the behavior of someone.
Cool.
It doesn't mean you don't like the person. You don't like the specific behavior. And the same thing with yourself.
Mm.
It's not that some people don't like themselves or they're not happy with themselves. You're not happy with some of the personality traits that you're expressing.
Yeah.
Or you're not happy with some of the habits that you have. And
Absolutely.
therefore, because you associate that with yourself,
Yeah.
you end up not liking,
Yeah.
you know, yourself.
That's a great point. Because like you'll focus on the one thing that you did wrong and you forget
Yeah.
about all the things you did right. And it's like that's not fair.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
giving yourself
100%.
enough credit. Or like a day where one thing goes wrong in the day, but there were so many cool things that happened. And you're like,
Yeah.
dude, what about the good stuff? Like,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
that doesn't that count? Like
Yeah.
give God credit, you know? He's helping
For
you.
sure.
Like there's
For
some
sure.
bad things, sure, but there's also some good things.
And to close it off there, right, just to spin the topic on its head, you get some people who don't like themselves because of the way they look,
Sure.
you know. But at the end of the day, that is not you. Yes, it's a representation of you, it's a physical representation of you,
Yep.
but that can change.
Absolutely.
You know, you is your soul, your inner, you know, everything outside of your soul can be molded and changed over time. And I think if you have that mentality, then even if you don't like the way you look, you know that the inner you is the one you like, and the outer shell will evolve and change over time based on how you fix it. Weight, beauty, you
Yeah.
call it what, all it starts with is how you frame it in your mind. And with that practice over time and the detachment, you've begun to love yourself. And like I said, when you love yourself, you have this pleasing personality that's just irresistible and becomes a trademark that allows you to fit in
Yep.
and also distinguish yourself in a unique way.
Absolutely. It's the most valuable thing that you can
Yeah,
cultivate, in my opinion.
yeah,
Like, you
100%.
know what's hilarious is how far people get in life when the only thing they have is a pleasing personality and they are shit at everything else.
Yeah.
And you're like, my goodness, how are you flying this plane? Because you're funny.
Yeah,
It's not a good thing.
100%,
Like,
100%,
you know,
100%. And I
um,
mean, I think that's politics. That's like, if I
yeah,
look at the political arena, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, like one of my role models, like Nelson Mandela, I think he just had an amazing personality.
mm,
I mean, he said it himself, there's many people who are smarter than him, who could have done a better job than him,
Yeah.
who could have taken the country further than him. But the
Yeah.
one thing that he had was the ability to connect with
Yes.
people through this amazing personality. So that
Absolutely.
example that you used there, how far people can get with just their personality is truly remarkable.
Yeah. Obama is another person I would say is a good example of that. He was
Yeah, yes,
so skilled as an orator, you know. His personality was brilliant. He
yeah,
was very charismatic, you listen to him
yeah,
speak, that statesman
yeah,
presence. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
would also say if you want to look for a trick of how to not take things so seriously, it's just imagine you're gonna die tomorrow.
yeah,
The world's gonna end. Like when
yeah,
you really think like that, it's such a practical mental model.
yeah,
Being like, oh,
100%.
like this shit really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like there's only about a handful of people that I give a shit about if the world's gonna end tomorrow, and those
yeah,
are the people that I want to show some love to.
100%, 100%, 100%. So yeah, with that being said, I
Yeah,
think you wrapped up the topic quite nicely there with your last comment.
thanks,
I
brother.
don't know if you have any other closing remarks with regards to the importance of cultivating a pleasing personality.
If you're looking for a reason to do it, the reason that I would give is you're just gonna enjoy yourself more.
Yeah.
Life is better. Like forget about all the credit, the money, the success or anything. Not even any of those things. Just your experience of life on a day-to-day basis becomes more enjoyable when you have a pleasant personality. So go and do that. That's what I would say.
Wow, wow, wow. And to add on to that, joyful people are joyful to be around,
Yeah,
right? So when you find joy in what you do and you find joy in life, you find that people find joy in being around you. And when you become the catalyst of spreading joy, you also become the catalyst of opportunity, and you just become attractive to everyone
we'll see.
through this joyful way of living. So yeah, Alex, thank you for your time and for sharing your wisdom on that topic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'm gonna make some notes after rewatching this episode. And yeah, thanks to anyone who listened. Cheers.
All right, everybody. See you next time.